Today I wanted to deliver a Christmas message. Although my beliefs may be different today, I recognize that a large portion of my community is from Faith Fellowship World Outreach Center, led by the then Pastor David T. DeMola. And his teachings, along with my biblical Jehovah's Witness teachings from a young girl, are very much embedded in my soul to this very day. I'm just seeking out my own spirituality and my true divine relationship with the Most High one-on-one. I say that all to say, the message that touched my heart today was simple. 3 things came to my mind. One of them was, fear not. If you are supposed to be the Son of God, you have to be clean. So you had to be born from a clean woman. And the third was simple, where there may be a space that there is no room left for you, God will always make a way. So it started back when, a couple of weeks ago, when the spirit of Christmas started becoming amongst us, and I started doing a deep dive into the history and the origins of Christmas. Because growing up as a Jehovah's Witness, we were taught that Jesus was born in October and not in December. And the reason why we have December 25th is because it is the highest the sun will reach in the sky, which means the rising sun, along with the 3 kings of the stars and the astrological positioning of the stars on that day. And we know it now as the North Star. If you are lost, they tell you that if you look up in the night sky and you see the North Star, you will always find your way back home. So now I'm thinking about this story of Christmas and thinking about who Jesus was and how he was born, clean, without spot or blemish. And the only way that he could be born from a woman had to be a virgin who was also clean and spotless. So it's no wonder why they have churches all around the world called Immaculate Conception, because it truly was immaculate. You know, they say that a lamb, when it's spotless, without blemish, it's placed in a manger, because the shepherd recognizes the beauty of its brand new prized possession, a lamb. And we know that in the Old Testament, you had to offer up a blood sacrifice to the Lord. And in the New Testament, we have Jesus. So recognizing that this man called Jesus the Christ was born from a clean woman, but the reason why he went into a manger was because of the symbolism behind the lamb in the Old Testament. For those who actually know their Bible and read their Bible often, they recognize that a lot of references, you can go from one testament to the other and back. There are very much similarities, or prophecies, if you will, that you can cross-reference in the Old and the New, right? So if we know that Jesus was supposed to be born in Bethlehem, in a manger, we never understood why. Because you can hear a story, you can hear an account about someone from the past, but then you don't believe the prophecy until you physically see it with your own eyes, which is why the 3 kings was so significant. The priest had to witness it on his own accord, because there always has to be a witness. When 2 or more come together, right? It is so. Your prayers are heard, you know? So there is no difference in that. But one thing that stood out to me with that story specifically was the only reason why Jesus had to go into the farmer's house with the animals was because the chief priest, and maybe we can consider it like a prime minister or a president in today's verbiage, wanted to do a count of all his people and all of the land. And maybe it was the whispers, well, if there's supposed to be a great son born in my town, where's he gonna sleep? I know how many people live here, and I know how small these houses are, because Bethlehem was a small town. So if they kept Jesus in the house, where Mary gonna sleep? In the barn? No, she gotta be on human world, right? She has to be in a bed. She cannot leave her husband, cleave to your husband. And unfortunately, because Jesus is so small, she knew that he would be protected in the barn so that they wouldn't take her spotless son. And a couple of months ago, the words "fear not" kept sticking out to me. Fear not, fear not, fear not. That is probably the one phrase that we hear the most, see the most, read the most in all of the Bible. Fear not. And the opposite of fear is faith. So Mary had faith and not fear that her spotless lamb would be protected in the manger. And in my great imagination, I see all of those animals crowding around this spotless lamb because they already thought that it was a lamb. He was in a manger. Like how we have muscle memory, so do animals. They are more intelligent than we believe, right? So if they believe that this spotless lamb was in a manger, they knew the importance that the shepherd had placed upon that lamb. So when you have the opposite of fear, you walk in faith. So I just wanted to encourage someone today that we are all going through a struggle season. I don't care what anyone tells you. We are feeling the pinches and the woes of a civilization who believes in fear more than faith. And we know that because back in the 80s and the early 90s, there was a news hour. There wasn't a news day or a channel where it was 24/7 news. You can pop on CNN 24/7, MSNBC, CNBC. Well, CNBC's for money. But you can pop on any of these news channels, New York one specifically, right? And watch fear being imparted into the hearts of society instead of PBS Kids, where I thrive, and have faith. You see, who is your spotless lamb? Now I'm talking to the non-Christians. We say the universe, the Most High, for my Rastas. You know, we honor that there is a higher power, and a lot of our beliefs are still very much the same. You know, we go outside and we ground and we spend time in nature, we meditate, we do what we have to do to maintain that faith over fear. Because when you really think about it, your system, your body, your temple, this prized temple that we were always taught to guard, starts reacting to the fear. I had mentioned on a video previously before that the reason why, in my healthy opinion, cancer is bred is because of unhealed traumas and trauma that you're holding deep within your soul that is now reflecting visibly on the outside as cancer. So how many of you want to live in faith over fear this coming year? And I often talk about 9 for my numerology friends being the highest number, and how we're going into 2025, which is a 9 year. 2 plus 0 is 2, plus 2 is 4, plus 4 is 5. It is a 9 year, which means that it is at the highest number, which is the period before we loop back to number 1, which is 2026. When you add it up, it means 10, which you narrow down to 1. And before you do that, you must release all of the trauma and the hurt and the pain, because we are closing out a cycle. Make sure that whatever you do, you are no longer operating in fear, and you're only operating in faith. And just like Mary and Joseph had no idea how a whole baby was going to be born out of her virgin womb, you have to have faith. So if you're praying for something in this season of struggle, still have faith. Wake up every single day and give glory to the Most High. for giving you breath, that ruach, that breath of life. God is going to continue to breathe life into you. And while if there is a day that we may not make it, we still give glory to the Most High, because now we are one step closer to Him. And while you were here, continue to honor Mother Earth, because that is the other part of the civilization. If there is always two, think about it. Joseph couldn't have that baby. There had to be a feminine energy, a womb energy, to incubate a lamb, a spotless lamb called Christ, Jesus. We are in an incubation phase. We don't know what may come next, but we all recognize that we are in the midst of a struggle. So if you feel in your womb space, and as a man, if you feel in your womb space up here that you can create a plan and conceive a plan, make sure you birth that spotless product, service, organization, business, whatever it is that you're creating. Make sure that you're doing it with faith and not fear, because nothing can be born of fear. But the Most High can always perfect it. Whatever your version of perfection is, whatever that spotless lamb is, thrive and thrive heavenly in it. Your version of perfection may not be somebody else's, but is yours. I honor you today as you graduate from fear to freedom and become what I call free as fuck. Peace.